Hi, everyone. Hello. Yesterday, I had a lot of people come over that needed some homeopathic healing stuff, and that takes priority with me. I'm very much a nurse who is concerned about people's health and well-being. I want people to be healthy and feel well. And we're back to reading the book. We today I hope to do chapters 7 or 8 and 9, or stories 7, 8, and 9. He doesn't really call them chapters. This is the book. It's Michael Savage wrote it, and it's called God, Faith, and Reason. And I got it last year for Christmas, and I'm enjoying reading it, and I hope you are enjoying listening to me read. And so let's get on with it. We have a little extra kitchen noise. I hope it isn't bothering you, but I'm distilling water because I do that. That's what we drink. We take mineral supplements and drink distilled water to take all the pollution out of the water. Papers in the street. I have in my hand a well-worn, brown, almost worn-out little business card from my father that I recently received from a family member. It has his name and antique store address, 137 Ludlow Street, New York, to New York. And on the back of it is my grandfather's name. The petition number from his citizen papers, which say Russia and Poland, and also the names of the 3 children he brought with him. Apparently, my father made notes on the card for his immigrant father, who I assume couldn't write for himself. I look at the card, and I wonder what their struggles must have been. My grandfather, Sam, was the astronaut of the family, having left behind the old world and come here without his family, eventually bringing over his wife and then his 3 children. I can't even fathom that. He died of a heart attack very young at age 47. No doubt from struggle, worry, and cigarettes. God knows what. I mention his card in this book because I wonder how much God played a role in Sam's life. As far as I know, I do not come from a religious family at all. My father, Benjamin, was an atheist who didn't believe in a greater being. He was very cynical about religion. And here on the next page, we have a verse, Psalm 119, verse 130 through 31. The opening of thy words giveth light. It giveth understanding unto the simple. I opened wide my mouth and panted, for I longed for thy commandments. They're not commandments to punish. They're guidelines so that we will have life and have it more abundantly. And it's true. It's true. And you need to embrace them and follow them with love. And you are so blessed in your life when you do that. So we just found out that Michael Savage's father was an atheist. I did not know that. As for me, religion entered my life strangely. Actually, I don't think it entered. I think it was always there. I have one memory. I was a young boy, maybe 5 years old, running in the streets of the Bronx, and I remember a Jewish newspaper was blowing in the wind. I didn't understand a word of it, but because it was written in another language that I thought was a holy language, I assumed it was a holy writing. I picked up every sheet of it, took them home, and said to my mother, "Look what I found in the street." I saved it, thinking I had saved some holy text. Well, it obviously was just a newspaper written in either Hebrew or Yiddish, but I didn't know that. There are other distant memories of my relationship to my ancestral language and my ancestral religion, which will come up throughout this book. Still a mystery. And another verse, Genesis 1, verse 27. And God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. Now, story 7. A 4-year-old's view of God. My friend Daniel has 2 lovely children. His little daughter Chloe is 4 years old. He said that she wanted to learn about Hanukkah, so he brought her a book on it for Christmas. She asked him to read it to her. He got to the part where the Greeks took over the temple, and she asked, "Daddy, what is the temple?" Daniel said, "It was a Jewish White House." Okay, I think that's funny. In those days, religion and politics were the same. Then the questions from that precocious 4-year-old resumed. She asked, "Why does God want us to have a temple?" He said, "I don't know, but that is where people go to talk to God." She asked, "What do they say to him?" "Well, they say a lot of things. They thank God for making everything." She asked, "Why did he make everything?" He said, "I don't know, but we are here and we are trying to explain why." "Well, what did he make us out of?" Dan said, "Well, people believe that God made us from nothing. Well, from dust, from humus, from dirt." She asked, "But why did he do it?" "There are many views on that. Who made him?" "That's a biggie. It always goes to that one." "Well, that's the big question," he said. "If there was nothing, then who made God? A bigger God? Also, if God could do anything, can he make a car that everyone else can drive, but he can't?" I never thought that one. She said, "I know, Daddy, it doesn't make sense. What do you think?" He told her, "I think that you will have to decide for yourself and pick answers that are best for you." He then showed her the 10 Commandments, which are in the book, and he told her, "Here's the good part. Honor your mother and father." The little girl smiled. Then he read the part that said, "Thou shalt not murder." Chloe said, "But you can protect yourself." "Yes," he said. "Yes, just not murder someone. Murder is killing without defending someone." Little aborted babies are murdered. "Murder is killing without defending someone?" she asked. "But people are doing that already." She then asked, "How do we know that God really gave us the 10 Commandments? How do we know this?" He said, "It's what people believe based upon what is in the book." Dan then tried to put Judaism together with his wife Val's Episcopalian background, and he said, "The 10 Commandments is a part of both of our religions. It is God instructions to the Jews." The child asked, "But what about Jesus, Daddy? Was he God?" He said, "The Jews see him as a Jew. He followed Jewish law, and he was really, really smart. If he was God as a person or a Jew who was really smart and kind, it doesn't matter. Both are good." Well, to some of us it matters. "Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, the young woman shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel." By now I'm sure you've guessed. Yes, he placed another verse in here, Isaiah 7, verse 14. "But Dad, why would God be a person? What does God really look like?" Dan said, "I think God can be a boy or a girl or anything God wants." "Well, how was he born if he was God?" Dan said, "He was born as a Jew, that is for sure. The Christians believe that. Wise people knew of his birth, and he was very special right from the beginning. So we both agree that he was special. But the Christians believe he was special because he was God on earth." Yeah. Chloe asked, But why would God want people to see a baby born? How did they know to come to see him? Daniel said, I don't know. That's what they believe. That somehow they knew. Chloe said, that doesn't make sense to me. Why would God want people to visit a baby? I want people to acknowledge a baby. I want to see this in a book. Did anyone write about this? You can see where this is going. The fact of the matter is that children are more rational than adults in many ways. And they want strictly rational answers to questions for which there are no answers. That's what makes them so insightful. That is the essence of faith. Faith is the ability of a human being to believe in something for which there is no proof. Like air. I can't see air, but I believe it's there. And with every breath I take, I am here. Fundamentally, that's the whole point of this book. To believe in God, you must have faith. There is no proof that God exists. And that was my other phone going off, which I always ignore because I send prank calls to that phone, and there they are, and I ignore them. And at the end of the day, I erase them all. And my own phone stays quiet. I like that. Now we're to story number 9. Is God real? We always get to that. Is God real? We always get back to that. Did you notice there's a theme here? Sometimes I ask myself, what is real? We're living in a society where everything is fake. Not me today. No makeup. Just me in my 60s. Yes, sir. The food is fake. Nope, I grow it in the garden myself. I love growing it. I pray in the garden. Nothing tastes good anymore. My food tastes really good. Esrat's wine is chemicalized, as are the air, the water, everything. I've got kombucha sitting over here and right here. Made it myself. Tastes delicious. Ooh. And of course, we all know the news is fake. Oh, yeah. Mainstream media? Oh, yeah. That's propaganda. Were the media ever the harbingers of truth? I don't know. No, they always made up what they were feeding us, by and large, with a few notable exceptions. We have too much fake science, for example, inventing whole phony disciplines to support the climate change hoax. Yeah, that's a hoax. Yes, there's climate change. And you know who created it? God. So let him handle it and quit worrying about it. Which is a political movement, not a scientific one. Even by reading this book, I am trying. I can't read it. I cannot read it and not be a Christian. I can't do that. So if you came here looking for something else, you might want to leave now. And I'm sorry to have you leave, but maybe someday you can come back. What do you turn to, my dear beloved readers? Where do you turn when you want something real? Every institution we grew up with in this country has been blown up. There is almost nothing left. And I'm not talking about older people, not at all. I think they still have their religion, their family, and their values. But society at large is a different story. We took God out of the schools. Big mistake. At first, when we were a country, all the elite, the rich, the guys who ran everything, they only let their children learn. And then came the missionaries, the Christian missionaries, and they started to teach. God is what inspired learning in the least of us. And we lost that when we kicked God out. How can everyone else decide who and what is real? How can you judge who is real? How can you know if a person you are talking to person you get to know, a person you do business with, or a person you are dating is real. That takes a little work. I asked some of my listeners on the Savage Nation these same questions. Here's what one of them had to say. I would like to say that for inward reflection and realness, hobbies, personal hobbies like playing an instrument, knowing exactly what's in it, as far as there's not going to be any auto tune, said one caller. Exactly, I replied. And you're either good at it, poor at it, or mediocre at it. You know it, and so does everyone around you. So playing music is real. My friend Butch Robinson, we're only friend on YouTube and Facebook. Oh, he can play instruments. Oh, so beautifully. My grandpa, I heard, he played the fiddle at every barn dance. And they say, oh, he was very talented. He died when my mother was 5 at a mill accident. Both my mother and father were left orphaned at the age of 5. And somehow they came up with 9 children, and I'm one of them. Well, actually, there were 10. One died at birth. It was a twin. Cooking was another great example that came out of that call. There's no fake way to cook. There's no way to fake cooking. Even if the food is fake, either it comes out tasting good or it doesn't. Hell's Kitchen would attest to that. Did you ever watch that show? Whoa. I don't want him to come in my kitchen. I'm afraid. These are the basics that keep people going in a time where everything around them seems fraudulent. I find myself most at rest when I'm doing something with my hands, when I'm making or fixing something. That's when I feel most stable. Gardening is one example. I told you. Seeing my peaches ripen, my potatoes come up is real to me. My tomatoes come up is real to me. I know I probably sound like the character in The Godfather in the garden waiting to fall over. But there is something so real about planting tiny tomato plants, little tiny seeds, little teeny tiny black seeds. Oh, some of them are white. Seeing them produce tomatoes 3 months later, that's real. That's real. Sowing the soil. You know what else is real? When a child comes up to you and wants to hug you and hugs you, that's real. That's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. There is a divinity in growing vegetables, which may explain why so many primitive cultures centered their religious beliefs around it. That and necessity, of course. Women enjoy an especially direct connection to producing life by bearing children. This is an immense blessing, women. This is huge. God chose us to carry a soul. A soul. Sometimes 2 souls, 3 souls, 4 souls. We've even had sextuplets. This is amazing. My mind wanders when I talk to people. I don't consider it a shortcoming. Some people can't listen to other people. First, I do it every day on the radio. So when I get off the air, I don't really want to listen to anybody. It can be hard to be around me for that reason. People can see my eyes rolling after 30 seconds, or they can see I'm stressing to make believe I'm listening. Guilty. Do you think I don't know this? I know who I am, and what I am, I live with it. There's an oft-used phrase, comfortable in your own skin. I'm pretty comfortable in mine. Me too. Do I have a choice after all these years? I don't know how to be uncomfortable in my own body. Well, sometimes my body's uncomfortable on me. We've lived together for so long, we certainly can't separate and become a duality, at least not in this life. Tomorrow, it could all be over, but for the grace of God, right? Here's a typical morning prayer some religious Jews read to start the day. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who who has formed man in wisdom and created within him numerous orifices and cavities. It is revealed and known before the throne of your glory that if but one of them were to be blocked or one of them were to be opened, it would be impossible to exist even for a short while. Blessed are you, Lord, who heals all flesh and performs wonders. That's nice. In our Christians, we sing, Angel of God, my guardian dear, because God loves you, he sent you here to love, to rule, to guide. Guide us towards Jesus. Guide us towards God. The ancients who wrote the prayer books understood things about the human body that were not very well known outside the Jewish community. They codified them in the prayer book. What is the point of reading this prayer every morning? Perhaps it is to remind us that every breath we take could be our last. It is supposed to humble us and make us understand that time is limited, that we're finite, we're flesh and blood, no matter how big we think we are or how others make us out to be. We're all on the same playing field. Apparently, the prayer didn't work for Bernie Madoff. Neither does it seem to work for so many people walking around in religious garb. Maybe they don't read prayers like this one, or they don't understand them. For how many people are prayers like these just mumble jumble words? They don't even really think about what they mean. If they understood their significance, they wouldn't be stealing Medicare after putting on the outfit. Perhaps like this, prayers like this are supposed to stop the gonif who wears the black clothing and does the shuckling and still rips off Medicare. In many cases, even the religious don't believe what they read. I have no idea what a gonif is. I presume it is a religious character in the Jewish faith. Someone, again, if you do, you can maybe write that in the comment section. Thank you. Years after discovering this prayer, I read something from a different religion which said words to this effect. It doesn't really matter if you read the prayer book every day and perform all the rituals. What really matters to God is whether you are sincere in your belief in him. That sincerity is the reality I'm talking about. I could not agree more. I can't say a prayer if I can't be sincere about it. The Lord and I had a walk like 10 years over this when he's trying to teach me agape prayer. I had to reduce some people who are so evil down to that little spark, that little soul that God put in that baby when it was conceived. That I could pray for. I can always pray for that. Maybe reality is nothing more than sincerity. I don't mean a con man sincerity or putting on an act. There's enough of that in the world. Every great salesman is a con man. Yeah, that's his job, man. Sometimes he wins me. He pretends that he believes in what he's selling you. Well, sometimes he does. That's what sells me on it. Maybe some do. Maybe some don't. You can't prejudge everybody. Think about all the fake movie stars with no talent whatsoever. I can think of a few. They're surgically altered. That's like androids or bionic people. You don't know who's real anymore. You don't know what's real. Maybe some people don't need reality. Maybe they want someone who's altered and looks better. That's certainly another way to look at it, that the altered body is the better body. My body is trying to get the hiccups. So I'm going to just take a little break to take a drink here. Pardon me. And here he has inserted another scripture. Proverbs 14, verse 8. The wisdom of the prudent is to look well to his way, but the folly of fools is deceit. Oh, yeah. Why don't you feel foolish when you find out that you follow deceit? Like when Bush said that weapons of mass destruction was why we went to the war in Iraq. And I found out that that was deceit. And I didn't want to believe it at first. But that was deceit. And if you don't know that was deceit, you can find it out. I did. It was sad. It was okay. I was a fool. I can admit it. I was a fool. Eternity, knowledge, and bliss, that is reality, said one caller. To solve the problems of birth, old age, disease, and death, that's facing reality. Real reality is eternity, knowledge, and bliss because there's all this disease and death and birth that's forced upon us. Nobody wants it because by nature we're eternal. We're full of knowledge, full of bliss, but we're all in the prison house of this material world, and that's reality. The Buddhists believe the material world is a prison, an illusion, but I'm not a Buddhist. I am reminded of a story I once heard about Einstein. I don't know if it's true. Shortly after he published his general theory of relativity, he agreed to an audience. He couldn't meet everyone, but he admitted a prominent man who said to him, Herr Einstein, I understand your theory of relativity. Everything is imaginary. It's all imagined. The story goes that Einstein went up to the man, slapped him in the face, and asked, Is that imagined? Good point, Einstein. Yeah, good point. Reality is great to talk about until you fall off a ladder and break a leg. Oh, I remember when I was 18 years old and going through my sorrows of young Werther face. I didn't know who I was, where I was going, or what I was going to be. I was asking, what is life about? I was lucky. I knew exactly what I was going to be at 6 years old. I was going to be a nurse, and I was going to be a mother because I love babies. I was asking, what is life about? What is the meaning of existence? And going through all the turmoil kids go through if they're sensitive or have a brain. I think everyone goes through this phase. The toughest person on earth asks those questions at some point in their life, usually during adolescence. Some people can't get through that stage. They become drug addicts or alcoholics. That's sad. They can't get past it because the answers are not there for them. They've lost faith or have no connection to faith. They don't believe in anything and don't know where to turn. One day, during that time in my life, I was driving through the Catskills. I hear those are beautiful mountains. My dog's on the floor snoring. If you can hear that, I'm sorry. Anyhow, I was driving through the Catskills and heard a thunk under the wheel of my car. That's usually not a good thing to hear. I stopped, got out, and saw a dead rabbit. It would make me cry. I went home that night and wrote a simple line in my journal. Today I ran over and killed a rabbit. This is reality. I remember once when I was a little girl, and you're so naive and innocent. I was maybe only 8, and I was riding home on my bicycle. And a lady was driving by in a big old car, and it doesn't matter who the lady was or what kind of car it was. I think it was a light blue. You know how it is, traumatic memories really stick in your head. And a rabbit darted out in front of that car, and she just ran over enough of it that she literally had skinned that rabbit alive. And that rabbit was just screaming in pain. And the car kept going. And there I was, just me and the skinned rabbit screaming in pain. That's reality. What did I do? Yeah. I told you. I was born to be a healer. I couldn't heal that rabbit. That made me feel very sad. I just stayed with that rabbit until the rabbit died. And then I rode away. And then later on, something else fed on that rabbit, and life continued. But that's reality. Was that profound? It was to me. What I learned from running over that rabbit was that you can dream all you want, but at a certain point, when you run into a stone wall, you know what reality is. Or if someone punches you in the nose and you fall off a ladder, you see a baby being born. Or you watch a parent suffer and die. You'll know what reality is. Trust me. Reality has a way of kicking you in the behind. My mother used to call it, life has a funny way of throwing you a few curveballs every once in a while. And we're ending story 9 with a verse. Proverbs 3, verse 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart. Lean not upon thy own understanding. Because when reality hits, you don't know where to lean. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct thy paths. That's a good verse to end this on. Well, I hope you're enjoying reading, and I'm doing this my first time doing this. I don't even know if I have chat turned on, but maybe I just turned it on. I don't know. But like I said, I hope you're reading, and I'll try and come back again tomorrow, and we'll continue with story 10. All right, now comes the time when I wave goodbye and end the stream. End stream. Are you sure we want to end the stream? Yeah, they've